Tell me when we are live.
We're live, dude.
Cool. All right, everyone. Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Tax Strategies Live Workshop. My name is David A. Pettis. I'm a tax strategist, and my goal for you today is to help you keep, grow, and invest your money. Okay. And today's topic, how to find off-market deals, really ties well into that. Now, as a reminder, if you'd like to ask questions, please put those in the comments below, as well as I'll be answering some of the questions I've been getting over the last few days live here today, and that'll be at the end. So please make sure to put those comments and questions. So the first thing is, what is an off-market deal? An off-market deal is a real estate property, a property of any sort, could be commercial, residential, multifamily, whatever, that has not been listed publicly on things like the multiple listing service, like MLS, multiple listing service, okay? Or it could be not listed on Zillow or Realtor.com, all of those tied to MLS. That's usually the platform that brokers and agents use to promote a property. So that's just kind of a directory of properties for sale. So off-market means it's not listed there. It's actually never been promoted. Nobody even knows about it. And that's the coolest thing. And you're probably like, why is that cool, right? Why is that cool? Because when we find a property that is not listed, we have a few advantages. Number one, and I put it here, is that if it's not on the market, there's less competition. Less competition means there are less people out there looking at that property. And because there's less people looking at the property, you have a better chance of getting it. Number two, you're dealing directly, in most cases, with the seller, which means now you have the ability to discuss and negotiate price. You get better terms, which could lead to financing, which could lead to a better deal. Right? This is cool because if I'm dealing off market, I get to deal and shake your hand. I get to meet the owner, look them eye to eye, eyeball to eyeball, know what the deal is all about. And they'll tell me a lot more about what they're motivated by. Because just so you know, if you deal with an agent and, I go to see a house and there's an agent there, I shake the hand of the agent. Thanks for showing me the property. But the agent doesn't, or in most cases will not, disclose the motivation of the seller. But if it's off market, I can meet the seller and they're like, we got to sell it because we got to move next week. Or, somebody in our family is ill and we have to relocate. Or I got a new job and I need to move here by next month. Those motivations could obviously give you a negotiating tactic to take on that deal. And last but not least, right, the off-market deals give you a unique perspective of the market. Because, see, off-market deals typically mean that the seller has an idea of value or has a reason, in most cases, to keep privacy, right? To keep privacy from everyone else. And see, off-market deals are private deals. And the cool thing about off-market deals, by the way, or the reason most people keep them off-market, like why do people do it? It's because they don't want anybody to know they're selling. Imagine your neighbor, the neighbor to your left or your right, wanting to sell the property, but they don't want you to know about it. Why don't they want you to know about it? Maybe they don't want you to know that they're moving. Maybe they don't want you to know that they're going through financial hardship. Maybe they don't want to know any of you to know those things, and so they're off market, right? Or maybe they don't want to scare their neighbors. Or maybe it's a multifamily project, right? And maybe the landlord is like, hey, I don't want my tenants to know I'm selling it. You see, like there are all these reasons why people would want to do an off-market deal and not necessarily go through a broker or an MLS. They want to have that privacy. The seller wants only to talk to serious buyers. So serious buyers, like if it's off market and I find out about it, I'm probably a serious buyer because I'm looking for a deal, versus if it's on Zillow and I'm like, hey, schedule a viewing, and maybe I'm not really serious. And last, they don't even know, in some cases, off-market deals don't even know that they want to sell. Here's an interesting thing. An off-market deal could be somebody who owns a property who doesn't even know they want to sell it yet. What do you mean, David? Well, what if I put out on a public post right now and I said, hey, I'm looking to buy a house in Houston, Texas. That's what I put. How many people would send me a direct message and say, hey, I have a house in Houston, Texas that I'm thinking about selling? There could be a few. And if they're thinking or haven't made a decision, that's an off-market deal. You see how that works? So Off-market deals are great. You get better negotiating tactics. You have the ability to know it before anyone else. You want to help the owner or the seller in a privacy situation. You want to make sure you negotiate those deals with them. So now that we know exactly what an off-market deal is, why people are doing them, what's the motivation, what are the benefits, let's talk about the 10. I'm going to cover 10 and give you a bonus ways that you could find off-market deals. So the first one here, number one, is through a broker or a real estate agent. Okay. Now, I know I talked about not having a broker or real estate agent just a little while ago, and that's contradictory, but here's what I'd like to tell you. Seasoned brokers and agents, seasoned means they've been around for a while. Typically, these seasoned agents and brokers work with a lot of buyers and have prior experience and history with people. I mean, a lot of sellers rather, and they have experience and they have history with them. And some sellers, like myself, I could be selling something today, but I don't want anybody to know about it. So I might tell my broker, her name is Debbie. Hey, Deb, I want to sell this property, but I don't want anybody to know about it. Can you just put this out there to a few of your friends or a few of your buyers? I don't want to put it on MLS. I want you to do it in your network. I want to promote it a little bit that way. She's like, okay, I could do that. What they call that is a pocket listing. They call it a pocket listing. It's in their pocket. So when somebody says, hey, I'm looking for X, or like, hey, I might have this one deal for you. It's somebody that I have as a friend. He's a client. He's got this property. Nobody knows about it, but it's off market. Would you like to look at it? See, this is called off market, right? So you get off market pocket listings. So brokers and agents are good resources. Now, I would recommend to have several of those. So what I would do is I'd build a little network of 3 to 5 brokers or agents, and I'd say, hey, hey, it's David. I just want you to know I'm looking for this or a property that looks like this, and I'd like for you to find one for me, but I don't want anything on the market. If it's on the market, I don't want to know about it, but if you know about it, let me know. I'm here. Cool. Bye. Do that with everyone. Okay. That's the first thing. So we're going to talk about it right here. Is agents and brokers is a great way to do it. Number 2, direct mail. So direct mail is a huge source for off-market deals. Why do I say direct mail? What is direct mail? Direct mail is postage, right? Sending things. Now, by the way, if you're like me, I get a million things in my mail every day now from every credit card company, every single person that you want to that wants to lend you money or get their insurance product or sell you something sends direct mail. In fact, I guess I'm on some list and I get all these mailers and magazines for clothes and shoes. And I'm like, how do they even get this? But apparently there's some database out there that tells them. But direct mail really works. Let me tell you, in 2020, my wife and I, we didn't have anything to do because COVID hit, right? So from March to about July, the world's kind of shut down. Nobody's interacting or connecting with people. So I'm like, how do we find people? And I said, why don't we do some direct mail? So what I did is I got some information for neighborhoods that I wanted to purchase a home in. I got the addresses. I created a little postcard and I mailed it to them. And I was like, my name is David. I'm a local real estate investor. I'm looking for properties just like yours for sale. If you're interested in selling, I make cash offers. I close in less than 30 days and we avoid commissions. Let's talk. Here's my phone number. And I was doing that. I was mailing out hundreds of those on a week, and I got a few properties off of that pretty easily. The cool thing about it is I put a picture of me, my wife, and our dog. It was really beautiful. And we let people know that we were a family of investors, which strikes people's hearts. Okay. All right. Number 3, we're going to talk about contractors. So contractors, those people who build the homes, that remodel homes, those people typically have the connections to people who want to sell. See, people who want to sell a home, guess what? They typically are like, oh, I want to sell it, but I need to repair the kitchen, or I need to repair the bathroom, or I need to repair something. That repair sparks them to call somebody, that contractor. The contractor comes in and is like, okay, I could do it. I could fix all this. It's going to cost $15,000. They're like, whoa. I want to make money here, not spend it. So there's like, we'll call you. Contractor knows that they want to sell it. You see what I'm saying? Contractors, good one. All right. Number 4, we're going to talk about investor groups. So every community has investor groups, right? There's always a group of investors that, communicate either through a Facebook group or even an in-person society or membership. The real estate investors of Texas, or the real estate investors, insert your town name here. Those are the people that you want to connect with because they know about all the freaking deals, right? They're the ones who know what the deals are, what they are, and they can connect you and put you in the right network with people. All right, next, wholesalers. Wholesalers, okay? Wholesalers are individuals who are out seeking real estate transactions, but don't actually purchase them themselves. Typically, it's a young person. This is typically how it starts, or somebody who isn't in real estate directly, but wants to get into real estate and is hungry. What they do is they use these tactics, direct mail and driving around, door knocking. They do all these things. And they find properties that are not necessarily listed, and they get the owner to agree to sell it to them with a contingency that that seller or buyer, which is the wholesaler, is going to sell it to someone else. Typically, they call it an assignment fee. Depending on the wholesaler you work with, it could be $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, but you're going to pay them to give you the deal. So wholesalers, you can find those in those investor groups. They're typically people who are just wanting to sell. I actually have a few that call me or send me texts all the time. I got this deal in this city, this, that, you want it? And they do that for me. You could find those people too. Next, driving for dollars. This is actually one of my favorite things to do. So driving for dollars is literally what it means. You get in a car and you drive around, and you are looking for properties that you believe need to be sold. Why do I say that? Typically, here's what I do, and this is probably most common by everybody, but it depends on your appetite and your tolerance of risk and things. But I like driving in neighborhoods that I like. Now, not like high-end neighborhoods, like, wow, I've got to live here kind of neighborhood. I like driving in neighborhoods that maybe are in a good area, maybe great location, schools, near schools, near hospitals, near things, universities. I want to be in those areas, okay? And then I drive around and I'm like, oh, look, there's one. And how do I know? Here's how I know. I'm looking for tall grass. I'm looking for cars in the yard or in the driveway that are broken down. I'm looking for houses that need paint. I'm looking for anything, crushed in garage doors or, really bad landscaping. I'm looking at these things, but they're in nice neighborhoods because those tell me that the owner of that property is not in a position to take care of it, either because they don't want to or they don't have the financial capacity to do it. And when I see that, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This is great. You could stop, get out of the car, knock on the door, and say, hey, my name is David. I am a local real estate investor, and I was wondering if you're interested in selling your home. It's called driving for dollars. It's a really cool strategy. And as a bonus strategy, I'm going to give you the software and technology that I used that helped me do this at a high level at the end. Okay, so stay to the end. All right, next, auctions. So auctions are cool. Now, there's sites like, what is that site? I've used it so many times and I forgot. No, auction sites. It's golly, I get notifications all the time. There's sites out there that sell properties at auction. Typically, these are sites that have ins with banking institutions that are foreclosed properties. See, most people are always like, I want a foreclosure, I want a foreclosure, I want a foreclosure. Agents rarely list foreclosures anymore. Foreclosures typically go out in the form of an auction on a site today. And there's so many sites out there. I just can't remember the one I used. Put in the comment site for auctions and I'll get it to you. Just comment in there and I'll get that to you. Okay. But auction sites, you can go to the site, place a bid. Typically they require a commitment of $5,000 or $10,000 down into the site. So they know you're a serious buyer, but you could get some really great deals. I've seen so many people who have taken action on that and gotten deals out of it. Next, county courthouse. Now the county courthouse every Tuesday, I believe, at least in our county, first Tuesday of the month, they auction off properties. It's a great strategy. I have not participated in this. I do have a business partner who has done this once or twice. He told me it was a long, drawn-out day, but there are people who are getting deals. You can see those deals in advance, at least in our county, if you go to sheriffsales.com. I think it's sheriffsales.com. Again, if it doesn't work for you, I'm sorry, but that's the one that I've used. You go in there, you put a deposit just like you would do. Now, the caveat with things like the sheriff sales is you've got to pay cash in most cases within 30 days of saying, I want to purchase the property, or you lose what you call your option fee, which is the option fee is typically a number of dollars that the county wants in their hands at the moment that you say, I'll buy it. And then you have 30 days to pay the rest off. And so I would say cash because most banks won't finance these type of deals because there are some recourse. Recourse meaning the owner of the property can come back and take it from you within a certain given time frame if the property taxes are paid off. Now, there is a strategy. I could talk about it in a different way, but there's a strategy to pay them off and get that released right away. But that's not for this conversation. If you want to know more about that, comment tax lien sales strategies or purchase strategies or something, and I'll send you a message. Cool. All right, next, word of mouth. And I'm going to give you a bonus in just a minute, but word of mouth. So word of mouth is huge. I think if you post out there, share out there, communicate out there that you are looking for something, you will find it. I think that happens in everything. If you're looking for the best Italian food, put best Italian food, somebody will show you with you, right? By the way, our phones listen to us so much that if I said Italian food right now, when I get on Facebook, it's going to show me Italian food. You see what I'm saying? Like, you are going to get what you're looking for. So if you share with everyone you know, I'm looking to purchase real estate. I want a property, single family. I want it to be in this area. Do you know anybody who's selling it? You will eventually find somebody who's got a property for you. Does that all make sense? So let's recap real quick, right? Let's recap those 10, and then I got a few things to answer for you. Number one, real estate agents and brokers. They have keys to houses, typically what they call pocket listings that you could, and by the way, if you call them, ask them, do you have any pocket listings? Number two, direct mail, mailing out postcards and letters and flyers. I like handwritten stuff, so I had got a company, which I'll share with you in just a minute. They would handwrite letters for me, and they would deliver them to the properties. Number three, contractors. Contractors have access to the information. They go to get the quotes, but they don't do the job. They know who wants to sell. Number four, investor groups. Investor groups are cool because you get these investor groups that are local. They know the market. They have the ins and the outs, and they know how. Number five, driving for dollars. The ability to go drive around, see a property, and take action. That's a cool concept, and I'm going to share more about the technology I've used behind that. Number six, maybe it's five. I don't know, seven. I don't know. I lost count. I didn't put numbers. I put bullets. Wholesalers. Wholesalers are a vital part. Wholesalers are a vital part of the sales process because they find the deals. They're the ones who are finding off-market deals and bringing them to you. You can find those in the local groups. Auctions, the ability to go to a site and put a bid on it. County courthouse sales, you could do that on sheriffsales.com. Word of mouth. Word of mouth is really awesome. And I have one bonus, but before we get to the bonus, I want to answer some questions. So I had a question submitted to me through TikTok. One of my questions from Chipotle's. Chipotle's. All right, man. If you sell the property in 3 years, what happens? Do you have to pay back the IRS? Well, Chipotle's, here's what I would tell you. This all depends on how and what type of property. So first off, if it's your primary residence, you can't use it as a rental anyways. So it doesn't matter. And including in that, or what's really cool about it, if it's your primary residence, you sell it within 3 years. If there's a gain, let's say you bought it for $200 and sold it for $400, that $200,000 is completely tax-free. For single filers, it's $250,000 above what you paid for it. For married filing jointly, it's $500. Now let's get back to maybe investment property. So if it's an investment property, Chipotle's, the investment that you make, right, number one, is going to be used one of two ways. Either you're going to use deductions called depreciation on that investment. So you can either take the standard depreciation method, which is typically 27.5 years for residential, 39 for commercial, and you're going to divide that by the purchase price minus the land value, and that's going to give you a deduction. If you do the standard depreciation of a property, there's no worries. You sold it in 3 years, you're fine because you only got 3 years of depreciation. If you use an advanced tax strategy called cost segregation, which advances the acceleration of, or advances the depreciation and it accelerates it into a very short time frame, instead of 27.5, it could be 1 to 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. If you sold it in 3 years, you probably will have to pay back the depreciation that you took in advance. Now, that depends on the property and all the things in question. However, if you did a 1031 exchange into the property, you would probably offset some of those taxes, but there would be some tax consequences. Chipotle's, I hope I answered that question. All right. Carol Dodd Art. If it takes a year to remodel the building and you don't have an Airbnb going yet before the end of the year, does it count as a write-off? That's a great question. First off, this sounds like you're going to be using the short-term rental Airbnb loophole. That's what it sounds like. If that's the case, first off, the only time that you could use it as a deduction is when you place it in service. Placed in service means it is available for rent. Now, I would add to that, just because I want you to be very, very I want to button it up just to make sure we don't mess this up. You have to rent it at least one time. Okay, so not only do you have to put it for rent, you need to rent it. Okay, I'd encourage you to do that just so in case you did get audited, at least we could say it was for rent. You see what I'm saying? So we need to do that. Okay, so if you don't finish it within the year and you don't put it for rent, there is no deduction, no expense, or at least not the ones that you want. There will be some expenses, but improvements, those just go to your basis, which means they add to the value. So for an example, I buy a property for $100,000 and I put $50,000 into it. That $50,000 is not a deduction. It increases the value of the property. So now the property is worth $150,000, or at least that's what I paid for it. That's where my depreciation starts, $150,000. I don't get to deduct $50,000. I get to deduct the percentage of $150,000 that qualifies for accelerated or normal depreciation. All right, next question. Bobby Nunez from Facebook. As a real estate agent, should I open an LLC first or an S Corp? Great question, Bobby. Bobby, here's what I want you to know. S Corps are LLCs. Let me say that again. An S Corp is an LLC. Well, it doesn't always have to be, but you found an LLC. And so LLCs are formed in states. Those states have different rules regarding privacy and protection. But let's say I live in Texas. So I go to the Texas Comptroller's office or Secretary of State, and I register a new LLC. Let's call it David's LLC. Once I get that, now I have some privacy because it's going to keep my information private, hopefully. And I'm going to get some protection because it limits my liability in the event of a lawsuit. Perfect. I get those two things. Then I say, I need to open a bank account. Bank says, David, you can't open a bank account without an EIN, which is a business social security number. So I go to the IRS and I go, I open in the IRS website, I apply, and it says, David, how would you like David's LLC to be taxed? And I say, I don't know. What are my options? And it says sole proprietorship, partnership, S Corp, C Corp, or nonprofit. And I'm like, S Corp, perfect. S Corp, selected. Now I'm known by the IRS as an S Corp, and my LLC is an S Corp. And that's how you get it, Bobby. So you don't do either or first. S Corps, by the way, should only be filed if you plan on intend to have net profits greater than $40,000, and you want to have yourself on payroll in addition to that. So hope that helps, Bobby. Thank you, Bobby. All right. Do we have any questions from our viewers? All right. Well, a few things, right? A few things you want to know. Remember, I added a bonus, right? Here's a bonus. Okay. So for the last few years, I've been getting heavier into real estate because I see more and more opportunities. And I reference direct mail, driving for dollars, right? Some door knocking. These are strategies that you can use that I like the most. See, I believe the way that you find the best deals is if you're out hunting for deals, right? Like if I wanted to eat fish for sure, I would go fishing and I would keep on fishing until I found a fish, right? Well, you want to be able to always find fish just like you always want to find deals. Here's the deal. If you wanted to go fishing and you really wanted to know there's fish, you could use a fish finder, which is one of those things that scans and it says, oh, there are the fish. And you go over there and you try to catch fish, right? What if I could show you some technology that could help you be like the fish finder, right? So one of the technology platforms me and my wife were using for a long time, and we still do today, is called Deal Machine. Now, Deal Machine is an app that you can use on your phone that would show you, or that would allow you rather, to mail out postcards and communicate with potential owners of properties who might want to sell. So for an example, I could be driving for dollars today and I could say, oh, look at that house. That looks good. And instead of getting off and knocking on the door on my app, I would look at the map, which it's following me around because it has GPS. I push a pin on the house and I say, hey, oh, Maria owns it. Oh, it's 2,200 square feet. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Maria, I want to contact her. Contact. Here's Maria's phone number. Here's Maria's email address. Okay, I'm going to do those two things, but also I want to send her a mailer. Mail. Cool. Now Maria is going to get a mailer from me. In addition to that, I could call her or text her. In addition to that, I could email her because I got all her information. So this is a great service. If you wanted to use Deal Machine and you wanted to know more about it, we do have a link that I could share with you that is custom to us. If you heard the information from me, I'd love to give you that. Just comment Deal Machine and I'll share that app with you. Okay. I'll share you a link to the app. So just comment Deal Machine. So any questions from our audience? Cool. All right. Well, this must either I answered every damn question really, really well, or you're out looking for deals. So guys, If you have questions, please put them in the chat. We'll answer them after this event as well. If you like this content and want more of that, please share, comment, whatever you want to do. And if you know somebody who has not benefited from watching this or could benefit, please share this with them. Next week's topic, if you are loving this stuff, next week we're going to talk about how to finance your deals. I'm going to talk about loan structure, different types of financing. I promise you the information that I share here is very valuable, has tons of insights from somebody who's been doing this for years, who understands the tax code, who understands real estate, who understands finance and business. My name is David A. Pettis, tax strategist, somebody who's going to help you keep, grow, and protect your money. So if you like this content, again, please like, share, comment, whatever you got to do. I look forward to seeing you on our next video. Thank you guys. Have a great day.